Check one, check two. Yeah. Check one, check two, check one. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Here we go. How's it going out there? You guys okay? How's it going out there in the real world? I don't live in the real world. I live in my own world. My own world is it's the place for me, right? I don't fit in to the real world. I don't fit in to the new normality. I don't fit in, right? Such is the life of a disruptor. That's progress, though. Change requires some level of disruption, either on a personal level or on a societal level, right? Disruption, change, new patterns, new habits, right? That's how it goes. We'll see how this goes today. The internet has refused to accept my last post at the moment. So we will see. We will see. Maybe I have to switch the platforms. Maybe I have to jump from YT to BC or Brighteon. A lot of censorship going on out there. There's a narrative, and they don't want people to rewrite the narrative. They don't want people to highlight the holes in the narrative, right? They're selling a story. Reality is a story that becomes his story, the high story, the story written by either the winners or just those that can be bothered to sit down and put pen to paper to to create, to recreate an image of the world around about them. I don't follow trends, but it's interesting on Twitter. Just noticed that Magna Carta is trending, which is a damn good thing because people better understand their history. They better understand how we got where we are. They better understand the good things, the positive values, the morality. They better understand what is right. You know how many people don't know what is right? They don't know what is right because they're told, well, every perspective has a little bit of right in it. And yeah, tell that to the tell that to the prisoners in the camps in World War II. Tell that to the um, people who are unjustly on death row, right? Tyranny takes over when good people do nothing, when good people refuse to stand up, when good people refuse to understand that the rights of anyone are the rights of everyone. If one person is silenced, then everybody can be silenced. That is the power of the media to flip the script, right? To get you hating the people you should be loving and loving the people you should be hating. That is the power of persuasion. that is out there. So I hope you're doing well, and I hope this will serve as a little insight into what's happening, why it's happening, and where it's all going. The New Zealand Herald.co.nz. Meet Ella. New Zealand police unveil the first artificial intelligence officer. Language, people, language. Artificial intelligence is an oxymoron. Right? Intelligence comes from a sense of biological, organic, human creativity. A reasoning of sense and senses. If it's artificial, it cannot be intelligent. It might be intelligently designed by somebody. Yeah. But then it's still created by people, right? Created by people. You want to deal with people. You don't want to deal with machines. Have you ever tried to talk to a car, right? Hey, have you used those Google voice commands and not managed to find what you're looking for, right? We are still in the early stages of understanding human development in terms of technology and how human development can integrate with technology. Let me tell you something in advance. The great silicon system, it's not going to happen. People are not going to merge with machines and it come out as something good. It's not a path of wellness. It's just another form of escapism. And that's something to understand, that the virtual realities will only be successful if the actual reality is so dystopic that people need an escape. The police have unveiled their first AI officer with hopes she'll soon be smiling and blinking out of screens in stations all around New Zealand. Ella, the artificial intelligence cop at the centre of the police's new digital services, was revealed at the National Police headquarters in Wellington this morning. Ella, which stands for Electronic Lifelike Assistant, lifelike, yeah, is, they love their acronyms, don't they? CERN is a concern in part of 2 new digital kiosks police have designed to help reduce queues in stations. Ella is a part of that. And also, this digital assistant will provide a modern way to connect with the public. Designed as a mix of 26 different people. What a horror. Ella is the brainchild of project manager Erin Greeley and will primarily be available only at the headquarters building in Molesworth Street, where users can ask for information or be connected to whoever they're visiting. It's the rollout of RoboCop, people. Well, why do you think they're defunding the police? What are they going to replace them with? They're going to replace them with, first of all, with anarchists and community police officers. That's going to fall apart. And then they're going to replace them, problem, reaction, solution, with the robots, right? They might just bypass the second stage. Who knows? If the 3-month pilot goes well, police hope to have Ella's friendly CGI face spread across kiosks throughout the country. The other kiosk in the pilot is the Police Connect service, which people can ask for information on commonly asked questions, right? So if you've got some personal situation, that's not going to work, right? Right? People can report a crime. You can report a crime to a robot. Super, super. That there's an empathetic environment. Or you can be connected to someone at a call center. Yay! Call centers. I love call centers. This is my favorite places in the whole world, right? Somebody that you don't know in a place that you're not sure where it is far away is going to help you. Yeah, that's hit and miss, right? That's hit and miss. Breitbart.com reports that George Floyd's family asks the United Nations to disarm police in the US. Right? Why would you go to a large when you've got a local problem? And we've been through the Floyd thing before. Drug user, drug dealer, criminal, thief, counterfeiter, porn star, robber involved in break-ins, aggravated assault, time in prison, um, father who abandoned his kids, all-round nasty person, basically. And I get it. Everybody should have a chance to reform and get on the right path. Trouble is, he didn't, did he? He didn't reform. He didn't get on the right path. Oh, and gang member as well, gang member. So there's your role model. There's your angel, which is just the wolf in sheep's clothing, right? You really think that members of his family decided to write a letter to the UN and the UN responded? You really think that it's not part of a design, a system, a program, a plan, an agenda? You really think that? People. They're going to cause chaos in the US and then invite the UN in to try to stabilize the situation. Yeah. Anyway, the family of George Floyd, the black man killed in police custody in Minneapolis. I think he was dead before they got him into custody. In Minneapolis on Memorial Day, has sent a letter to the globalist United Nations to ask for its help in disarming police officers in the United States of America. That's a bit like writing to McDonald's and getting them to regulate the food in your local co-op, right? What a nightmare. The family's legal team facilitated the letter. Yeah, and I guess they're counting the cash as well right now, which was sent on Wednesday according to NBC News. The group sent a letter on June the 3rd to one of the international body's working groups asking for support for the end of the provision of military equipment and military-type training for police, the teaching of de-escalation techniques, independent prosecutions, and autopsies for extrajudicial police killings and more. Look, the basis of it sounds fine. It sounds fine. That's how they sell it. When a group of people of any nation have been systematically deprived of their human right to life by its government for decades. What? Like the most free and open society in history. It must appeal to the international community for its support and to the United Nations, which is not a country, it's a private organization, for its intervention. Because intervention in foreign countries works out really well, yeah. Floyd's family attorney, Ben Crump, said in a press release, the UN issued a statement on May the 28th, 3 days after Floyd's death. That's pretty fast. And included the names of other black people in the US who died in police custody. Michelle Bachelet, UN Commissioner on Human Rights, is quoted in the statement, which says in part, this is the just in a long line of killings of unarmed African Americans by US police officers. What about the fact that more whites are killed by white police officers? What about that? And members of the public, because African, oh, yeah, whatever. Bachelet, what a name, said, I am dismayed to have to add George Floyd's name to that of Breonna Taylor. Oh yeah, the woman who lived with drug dealers who shot at the police and the police shot back, killing the woman because it was self-defense, right? My God. Eric Garner and Michael Brown, question mark, question mark, question mark, and many other unarmed many others. It's at the lowest rate that it's ever been right now, who have died over the years at the hands of the police, as well as people such as Ahmaud Arbery and Trayvon Martin, who were killed by armed members of the public. Go and look into those cases, right? Go and look into those cases. Half of them are propaganda-filled misrepresentations. Look, brutality is wrong. Brutality is wrong, for sure. But this solution is also wrong. We need to understand that. We need to understand that. Other things that are wrong, yeah, you can recognize what is wrong. If people tell you it's not wrong, it's just different. That works sometimes. But at the same time, you don't want to be fooled and then fooled again, do you? So, there are many agendas crisscrossing and weaving in and out of one another. The recent police violence has covered over the fact that people were raising some very important questions about the mysterious virus and where it came from and who was involved in financial transactions such as paying the World Health Organization £50 million the day before they announced the pandemic. I wonder who transferred that money. Answers on a postcard, please. I'm sure you can work it out. Meanwhile, before we forget, March the 19th, C-19 was officially downgraded from highly contagious infectious disease to flu status by the British government before they announced the lockdown. Before. And I remember like reading that document at the time and looking at it because it was passed around on the internet and it was real and I double checked it, which is red flag warning sign number one to go with the other like 100,000 red flags that people ought to be waving right now. March the 30th, overwhelming medical and scientific opinion is that masks do nothing to stop the spread of the virus. Go and look at it. Go and look it up. All the major health organizations, institutions, and even your base organization, even the base information on the terrible pages such as Wikipedia and other pages. Hello. You're going for a run. Okay. And
I'm taking Will. The girls are in.
the girls are doing their thing, right?
Fighting. Yeah.
They're fighting. Okay. Super. You're taking Will for a jog. Cool. Nice day for it. Enjoy. Dun dun dun. There we go. So, where are we? Yeah. So, first of all, you don't wear a mask unless you're a professional in a professional work environment with a professional mask. You don't wear it while you're driving your car. You don't wear it while you're riding your bike. You don't wear it while you're going shopping. You definitely don't give it to people who need to breathe and expel what is deep within them. And I've covered this before. There's at least 20 different health problems that can arise from having restricted breathing passages. It's an intelligence test is what it is. And if you wear a mask, you've failed it. There you go. April the 10th, 150,000 non-C19 estimated deaths are as a result of the lockdown in Britain, not as a result of the virus, as a result of the lockdown. Okay, now there's sources for these that I've mentioned. You can Google C19 HCIT status. You can Google the science of law and refusing to wear masks. You can Google 150,000 Brits will die in avoidable death during coronavirus. Google. In fact, not just Google. Start page. What's the other way? Yell or Yelp or something like that. Isn't that a search engine? You can try Yahoo. Try to use an independent search engine that doesn't store some elements of your data. However, on the flip side, things like Google History is kind of good if you forget where something is or when you looked at something to be able to go back and find that again. The trouble is, nothing on your computer is really personal. That's another language trick, right? It's a personal computer for you. Right. Right. As if you don't have a window into my world with an internet connection. There was this episode of, and the subtext is thrown out there in the media and um, those chewing gum TV series. What's the plural of series? Series or series? I never remember. Anyway, so I was watching the new MacGyver, which is a fantastic way to kill time. Um, and there was an episode where the hacker girl, because it has to be a girl, because it's got to be politically correct. Not that girls can't hack, right? But it's all a game. I was watching something. There was a new Disney film that came out, and I was watching it last night, and I was thinking, right, in order for them to be politically correct, they're going to have to show this, 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 and this within the first 5 minutes, and boom, it was all in the first 30 seconds. To appease all of the possible groups that would complain. It had to have different ethnic groups, and it had to have different uh, races and different accents, and I think that's why we're getting all these films about strange creatures and people from different worlds, and I think that people are so scared to actually represent some elements of reality now that the media that's being pumped out is pure fantasy often. Um, anyway, what was the point? Oh yeah, the MacGyver episode. So yeah, the woman's able to punch a couple of keys on her keyboard and bring up images from any camera, anywhere, computer, phone, tablet, security camera, whatever. And that's the way it is. That's the way it is for those with technology, for those with access, right? That's the way it is. Um, yeah, and you think it's government? It's not. It's private agencies that then sell that information to government so that government can say, oh, we didn't know anything about that. It's not us, right? Your Phoenix Foundation, your Universal Exports, etc. Right. Now it's really important to understand as well that anyone or any group or anyone causing harm to anyone is involved in a crime against humanity. Anyone causing harm, whether it's whether it's a doctor or nurse, whether it's a police officer, whether it's an average person on the street, whether it's a taxi driver, um, whether it's a teacher, um, anyone, right? Yeah, anyone causing harm, whether it's a car driver hitting a cyclist, whether it's a cyclist hitting a pedestrian, whatever, anyone causing harm is involved in criminal activity. And then look at look at the playing field of what's happened over the last 6 months, right? Or even 3 months. And look at the harm and damage that's been done. Who's talking about it? Who's doing something about it? Who's complaining about it? There is one independent organization that is trying to take the British government to court over the lockdown. One, run by one person, one. Right, one is better than none, but one is not enough. Right. You've got to remember that everyone's right to life shall be protected, should be protected, will be protected by laws of some kind. And I'm not talking about laws just made by people. I'm talking about the laws of life, the laws of the universe, natural laws, common laws between people. Think about it. The common flu kills up to 65,000 people in the UK and up to 500,000 people worldwide every year. And this is the flu attacking people with weak immune systems, right? It's probably overall one of the largest causes of death in the world. And it's especially if you add it up, because it's just consistently repeated down throughout history. And the idea that someone's going to come along and save us when the globalists are all about depopulation, right? What was that story that I read the other day about the mosquitoes? That they genetically modified the mosquitoes so that if they breed, the children die. Did you get that? Did you get that memo from your government? And of course, you can control where mosquitoes fly, right? Anyway, don't forget that the NHS and the government sent shielding orders to stay at home and avoid hospitals, which killed people, made people really sick as well. Sent do not resuscitation orders were sent out to patients, vulnerable patients, elderly, and even those with learning disabilities. They denied treatment to large groups of the population. They cancelled millions of potential life-saving treatments and operations. And the hospital also knowingly sent C-19 patients into care homes. And they forced people to stay at home when going out and getting sun is actually helpful. They advised people to stay at home and drink milk. The government actually advised people to stay at home and drink milk. You can't make it up. In fact, if you were to design the worst policies possible, that's it. That's it. It couldn't have got, and then they got everybody, and they got everyone scared because this idea that the media is fighting against the government. No, they're parallel organizations. They've got agendas, but they work together. For sure. Unlawful. It's unlawful to hurt people, but then the media is not what we think it is it? Is it? We've got the ministries now, the Ministry of Truth, the fact checkers. We've got the Ministry of Information and fact checkers. Facebook's fact checker on coronavirus are the people who actually worked in the lab on the virus, right? Well, you need someone who knows, yeah, but not someone who's compromised, right? Did you know, if you're watching the video of this presentation, you can see a statue of a oriental looking man with long hair and a long flowing beard who's holding on to and touching a small naked boy who is carrying a flute. What does that all mean? What does that mean, huh? What does that mean? Where is this statue? Where is this statue? Would it bother you if I told you this statue is at the British Broadcasting Corporation? Would that bother you? Would that mean something to you? Once again, let me remind you why I am not getting involved in politics. Okay, let me spell it out for you. P-E-D followed by the letter after N, right? It's ingrained in the culture there. It's control. Because everybody wants to be a star. Everybody wants to be on the screen. Everybody wants to be famous. Say everybody. Go to any classroom of kids, if any exist anymore, right? Go to any classroom. What would you like to be when you grow up? Like rich and famous, rich and famous, rich and famous, rich and famous. You know, once upon a time, scientists were the rock stars, right? Albert Einstein. Once upon a time, civil rights leaders were the rock stars. Martin Luther King. Once upon a time, people who stood for peace instead of war were rock stars, like Gandhi. Don't forget, logic saves lives. Saves lives. Think about it. Think about the situation that we're in right now. Think about the real wildness. That four people, think about this, like four people in a restaurant, or two people. It only takes one person to give a bad review. Think about this scenario, right? Because we all understand this. Go online and check the reviews. If there's one bad review, two bad reviews, three bad reviews, four bad reviews, we tend not to go to that place or buy that product. Yeah. So the example is four people give a restaurant a bad review on Google. And so you go and look for another place to eat. However, tens of thousands of people will produce white papers and reports and studies about the unhealthy activity of injecting chemicals into children because it's injured. And there's at least 25 documentary films covering this topic. 25. How many have aired on television, huh? How many? Zero, right? Zero. Yeah. Yeah, but think about it. Think about it. You know, trust is a dangerous way to... Trust without verification is a dangerous way to live your life. It's very dangerous. Trust but verify. Trust but verify. And the abused, how often the abused keep coming back for more and more and, surprisingly, more. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Meanwhile, the Australian Government Health Department released a report on information for clinicians. Now, I googled this and it said, the fact check, this is not true. So I went to the original documents and it is true. So, there you go. Check the checkers. Who's watching the watchers? Who's checking the checkers? Right? Who's doing the stuff? So, trust but verify. Australian Government Health Department information for clinicians. It should be noted that PCR tests cannot distinguish between live virus and non-infective RNA. Yep. Basically, if you've had the cold, you will test positive for the for the virus. This means the test cannot distinguish between basically COVID and a cold, or even in some cases, apparently measles or Ebola. Notable human diseases caused by RNA viruses include Ebola, SARS, C19, rabies, common cold, influenza, hepatitis C, hepatitis E, West Nile fever, polio, and measles. Right, right, and I even posted the original document, which it took me about 30 seconds to find. So there we go. Um, so there we go. But then there's a lot of disinformation and misinformation out there. You gotta look carefully. You gotta think, right? You've got to think. You don't let someone give you your opinions. Learn from your experience. Let me repeat that. Don't let someone give you your opinions. Learn from your experience. Learn from your experience. It rarely matters what is happening far away. Most of the things important are happening close to you and close to home. Think about this. Now, this is a touchy topic. It's a big topic, but just try to get your head around it. Try to get your head around the fact that not everything is what you're told it is, and not everything that they say is good. It is good for you. You know, when I think about that, I remember seeing advertisements for breakfast cereal when I was a kid, and there were all these athletes running around really fast, looking fit and healthy, and these athletes were used to advertise the breakfast cereals, which were full of sugar and perhaps other things that shouldn't have been in the cereals, and they really weren't that much of a healthy start to your day, at least not as healthy as fruit, for example. Um, Now, of course, everybody's diet is different, everybody's lifestyle is different, and you have to live with what you can find within your environment. But the way to think about healthy food is to think, does it come from God or does it come from man? Like the example from man is like from a factory, right? Or is it, existing naturally within nature? Now, within nature as well, you've got two sides to that as well. To eat the wrong mushroom and you die, yeah? So you still have to be careful. But think about it. Think about the way that everything is twisted. Twisted. Think about how much you know. Think about what's in the background. Think about qui bono, who benefits, who benefits. Think about this. Black Lives Matter is funded by privileged white people who support black socialists. They are socialists. They're for disruption of the family. Disruption of the family, defunding of the police, which is going to lead. Well, what happens after you defund the police, right? It's going to lead to defunding of the prisons as well. But it's kind of already happened because they're letting the violent offenders out because of the most ridiculous risks that they can imagine. Go and check out how Soros has been funding the release of certain groups of prisoners to put gangs out on the streets to keep people at home so they don't protest. Yeah, it's the same situation with you can't go out and protest against the government for the lockdown because then you'll be categorized as one of the crazies, socialist lefties, or and not that the right are any more sane, okay? It's not a left or right thing, yeah? It's not an east or west thing. This is about the compass, yeah? Not the direction, yeah? You can't, it's been done intelligently. Like you can't go out and protest because then you're either you join one of the crazy groups because only the crazies are allowed out to protest, and they're left to topple statues and burn buildings and spray graffiti everywhere. But when average Joe goes out, it's like, hey, can you please return to your home because it's a lockdown? But this is not a police state, right? Right. You know, it's like being punched in the face repeatedly while someone's saying, "I'm not punching you in the face." It, it, it's war on the people. It's war on the people. Black Lives Matter is funded by privileged white people. Seriously. Seriously, it is. Who support black socialists to attack the white middle ground in a new class war. It's not a race war. Wake up. It's not a race war, it's a class war. Nobody will win except the cult of corporations and billionaires who live to divide the deprived. Ooh, look what you could have, right? To fight back against this, we have to realize that we are all one and stop groupthink and judge individuals by their unique character. Yep. Back to that Martin Luther King speech. Yeah. I want to be judged by the content of my character. We cannot continue to allow the enhanced manipulation of civilization. We can't. Follow the money and wonder who benefits from the beliefs created by the controlled mafia of modern media. Media, the medium, the medicine, the media that rests between the people and the politicians, right? And the politicians are scared of the media. That shows you where the power is. Politicians are scared. They're scared. Yeah. We have to be careful. We have to be careful when we're pushed and pulled. The change is not always progress. You learn that from experience, right? The next partner may not be as good as the last partner. It's a risk, yeah? And then it's like, oh my God, I made the wrong decision. Oops, too late, right? Too late. You can't travel backwards in time in this universe. Not possible. Sorry, not possible. Sorry. George Orwell wrote in 1984, every record has been destroyed or falsified, every book rewritten, every picture has been repainted, every statue and street building has been renamed, every date has been altered, and the process is continuing day by day, minute by minute. History has stopped. Nothing exists except an endless present in which the party is always right. The endless present, the endless new, thinking that the new is going to make you satisfied, but really nothing externally will satisfy you. You have to be satisfied within yourself, internally. And it's all a mind game. It's all the mindset of the propaganda that's pumped out when within just a few months we've been conditioned to believe that social distancing and masks are normal and necessary. No information about love and nutrition and getting together with people to solve problems. No, people are your enemy. At least that's what they'd have you believe. If you believe them. If you believe them. Of course, it's all about the essential and the non-essential. It's all about those with special powers, special abilities. One rule for them goes back to that Erasure song from the 1980s. One rule for us and for you another. Oh yeah. Sky Sports News reporter Miss Emma Patton explains why Tottenham Hotspur football players will not have to self-isolate, despite playing against Norwich players, one of whom tested positive for coronavirus. Logic. Logic saves lives, right? These people must know that they're lying. How do you get up every morning knowing that you've just lied to millions of people? How do you get comfortable with that? How is that even okay? What kind of parenting causes that? Yeah. What kind of parenting causes that? Meanwhile, let us not forget that Roseike 4 just occurred. Get your download of Logic. Get your download of 30 years of clear and concise study. Crazy thing is, David Icke was right. He was actually right. Oh yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, SpikedOnline.com has reported that, hi darling, yep, help yourself. Help yourself to some paper down there. Can you get at it okay? Yeah? You got it? Yeah, take a couple of pieces. Take a couple of pieces. Okay, that is super cool. Catch you later. SpikedOnline.com reports that the coronavirus bill is in fact the greatest loss of liberty in our history. It's a report on the alarming rise of authoritarianism, and this is not a new article, but it's still relevant because nothing has changed, and by changed I mean improved. Nothing has improved. Quote, the standout thing in the coronavirus bill is the detention powers. The bill confers arbitrary detention powers to the police, immigration officers and public health officials. They can detain and isolate potentially infectious people. Potentially infectious people can in fact be anyone, because it's potentially. We're going to need a revolution of thinking in order to get back to where we were. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone, right? Oh yeah. It's so true. As we've seen from government reports, up to 80% of the public could be infected, many of whom will be asymptomatic. Yes, carrying but perfectly healthy. There is no explanation as to how the authorities will determine whether someone is potentially infected. For all intents purposes, it shows, or it allows for arbitrary and indefinite detention. Any member of the public, including children, could be forcibly detained, isolated and quarantined in an as yet unidentified location. It also enables authorities to forcibly take biological samples from people for testing. This is not what police are for. Police are for protecting communities, not terrorizing them. Not terrorizing them. Meanwhile, Simon Dolan, at Simon Dolan on Twitter, points out that the damage that's been done recently has essentially been purposeful, and he's leading an attempt to gather more information from the government about what they did and why they did it in a legal sense. At the present, the government defence confirms, as we had suspected all along, there is no basis in law that the majority of schools in the country have been closed. Also no basis that hospitals have been closed, no basis that doctors have been closed, no basis that a lot of healthcare services have been denied. Essentially, everything is closed because of words. Words, Mr. Wordsworth. Words. To quote the document in question, the regulations prior to the 1st of June 2020 did not require the closure of schools. They were not included in the list of establishments required to close. Doctor surgeries were not in that list, and other health practices were also not in that list. They were not in the list of public places for specific purposes. A gathering which takes place in an educational facility is reasonably necessary for the purposes of education. These are exempt from prohibitions. What about a right to an education, huh? What about that? What about that? Meanwhile, the real devastation is the mental illness that will be across the board of society. BBC actually reports something useful. BBC.com, delay over return to school is a national disaster, leading psychologists warn. But that's not the key point. That's not the key point. It's the fact that the youth suicide as a result is essentially mass murder. In a letter signed by more than 100 specialists in psychology, mental health and neuroscience and published in the Sunday Times, is written, as experts working across disciplines, we are united as we urge you to reconsider your decision and to release children and young people from the lockdown. Allow them to play together and continue their education by returning to preschool, school, college, university and enjoying extracurricular activities including sport and music as normal and as soon as possible. Please. Rising anxiety and loneliness is one of the results of the lockdown. This comes after an opinion piece in The Lancet Child and Adolescent Health. Did you know that existed? There's a magazine called The Lancet Child and Adolescent Health, warned of the damaging long-term consequences of a lack of face-to-face contact among young people and their peers. They are no longer going to recognize people, emotions, real reactions. Professor Ellen Townsend, Professor of Psychology at the University of Nottingham, who organised the letter, said mental health problems such as anxiety were already rising in young people before the lockdown. It's the media. The media is guilty. She told the BBC there was evidence that growing feelings of loneliness and social isolation are a result of school closures during the pandemic and could be making everything worse, especially amongst teenagers. She describes hearing some heartbreaking stories of children struggling. The letter also points to evidence that children are at low risk. Please note this. Suicide is already the leading cause of death in 5 to 19-year-olds in England and the second leading cause of death in young people globally. I wonder what's first. Vaccinations, perhaps. Thankfully, C-19 will never claim this many young lives. What a world, right? What a world we have created. What a world. What a world we have created. A world where most people only want to hear that they are right. They only want to see a reflection of themselves. Nothing else. Nothing more. That's the world that we've created. And we're going to pay for it as well. It's going to be a great cost. Not instantaneously, but gradually, slowly, incrementally. over time, over time, over time. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope you're having a great day. I hope the sun is shining for you. Look out for the ones around you. Look out for the people that you can reach out and touch. And as always, don't forget to tell the ones you love that you love them. More news soon. Take care out there.